why I think I know more about technology.
And here it's cold.
Technology
Cold in here. You get
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only the coronavirus.
Lord, jeez. I like the lid right here. 2 minutes.
That's what I get too. On my watch over there.
There you go.
So you'll cue us when
Will
Ready
cue
back there when you're ready?
it's gonna be a
Ready?
rally.
This is our job.
Yes, boss. Whatever you say, boss.
Who's the boss?
Me.
Molly's the boss.
I-
And Genevieve.
Molly's the boss.
You ceded your authority awfully quickly.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, remember, you said the
Okay. For what?
song, which is good
Why do I send it?
because you're the one who may have difficulty playing quickly.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it. But that's true.
I meant to say it just
You were headed towards a compliment and you veered away from it.
Opportunity.
that's just because you focus your effort on a whole bunch of other awesome songs.
We'll check the tally.
Your first song, the first song, a song you could write is about digging yourself back out of a hole.
Yeah.
That's
I guess to stop digging the hole, I have to put down the shovel.
go. Working
That's the
out some
hook
lyrics
right
over
there.
there.
There's the hook.
There you go.
Oh, Fluffy.
Fluffy.
So, are you ready, everybody? Genevieve, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
5 seconds.
Good evening. This is Rocket Shop, Big Heavy World's local Vermont music radio hour. Every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m. on 105.9 FM The Radiator, WOMMLP Burlington. Local musicians come chat with us and share their music on the radio.
We're your guest hosts tonight, Genevieve Rossi,
And Molly Allen.
and we're filling in for Tom Proctor. Tonight we have with us Samuel Acus and his mother. And
Hi.
welcome.
So, first off, why don't you start by introducing yourselves and saying a few things about your music together?
Hi, I'm Samuel. You can call me Sam. And I play mandolin.
Hi, I'm Catherine Acus. I'm Sam's mom, and I play guitar.
Sweet. So, we'd love it if you guys would start us off with a song. So, go right ahead. the name of that song?
That song was called Lady Be Good.
Cool. So, for all of our listeners out there, before me, I have this very talented 12-year-old, and he just picked that whole song. So, if you were hearing that and being like, wow, that sounds very difficult, it looks very difficult. So, you're doing a great job. So, how long have you been playing?
About close to 7 years, I'd say.
And have you always played the mandolin?
Well, I mean, before 7 years started, I played the ukulele. But I've really been playing mandolin for 7 years. Singing for like way before that.
And did you start playing mandolin? Or so you said ukulele.
Yeah, I started on ukulele. That was fun. And then I saw my dad playing mandolin, and I was like, whoa, cool. Because, I mean, dad's doing it. It's got to be cool.
Right? No, you're not wrong. And so your mom is also here playing with you, strumming along in the chords, also a fantastic player. And for you, what has it been like kind of watching Sam grow up playing the mandolin, playing all of these fantastic instruments as such a gifted kid?
Well, it's a real pleasure watching both of my children grow up and embrace the love of music that was instilled in both his father and in my family. And Sam, from a tiny baby, was always facing out. Like whenever I'd hold him facing me, he was always like, and turning his neck around to whatever's happening in the room. That's just kind of an encapsulation of who he kind of is and what he embraces. So it's been really fun to watch him face out toward his music.
A true performer. So, Sam, you are 12, so you're in school. Do you have a lot of friends who play music with you, or are you just kind of on your own in this?
Well, most of my friends don't really go to most of my music friends don't really go to my school. I've got a whole bunch of friends, but they all live, like, not in the school district, or one of them does, but goes to school in Christmas. Anyway, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of friends, but most of them do not play music.
Okay. So do you like to play music for people, though, like around your age, or do you like to
Definitely.
perform for just everybody?
Anyone.
Anybody? Awesome. So what kind of music do you listen to, like, on your own? Are you always listening to kind of this bluegrassy stuff, or do you kind of venture off into other stuff?
I listen to 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, and so on.
Got everything.
Yeah, also, so you said that, and you mentioned your father. Saw him playing mandolin, and you're like, okay, now this seems cool. I got to do this. So, what have been some like influences for you? So, you said your dad. What else? Are there any artists that you're like, wow, that has really stuck out to me. That is what I want to be like.
Well, for one, I'd say my first really big influence that wasn't my dad would be Chris Steele.
Okay.
He is super fast, super clean, such good technique on mandolin, has a pretty good singing voice, and yeah, he's extraordinary at mandolin. And then I also really like this jazz guy named Will Patton.
And so, when you're listening to these musicians, and what kind of environment do you stay in? Are you like, okay, I have my mandolin here. I want to play this song. Are you? How do you go about that? What's your process for learning?
Well, in my learning process, I think, okay, this song, gotta get this down by, and then I set like a time goal for myself. And so then I play the song through, try to get the melody and the chords memorized, and then after that I got it.
It's amazing work ethic. I wish I could do that with anything that I played. But do you play any other instruments other than the mandolin mainly? I know you play the violin as well.
Yeah.
Do you venture off and do like any guitar, anything like that, or is it mainly the same violin, mandolin?
Does kazoo count?
Yes, of course.
The
Kazoo
kazoo.
is a great instrument.
And so when you come like every day or you wake up, what's your motive for mandolin? What do you want out of all of this? I know you're young, so this is a big question. Sorry to hit you with a big one, but it's a fair one.
It's definitely, yeah. I basically really just want to make people happy, and I feel like I've noticed that when I play mandolin, I make myself and a whole lot of other people really happy. So I just want to keep doing that.
That was genuine.
You did a great job. I try to play the mandolin, and I am very bad at it. It's very hard to make it sound good most of the time. Like, you do a great job. Have you been practicing like a lot? Do you practice every day, or is it
Yeah.
really natural to you?
2 hours per day.
Yeah, it shows. You're really great.
So when we were doing some research on you, I know, we figured out you used to live in Michigan and you moved here kind of recently, 2 years, 3 years. So what did you play back in Michigan, or has it really been more focused here? Is there a different influence?
Well, I really live in Ohio. I was born in Michigan, but yeah, I played some there, not nearly as seriously as I do here. I feel like I've matured a lot and realized, wait a minute, if I ever want to achieve that goal, I gotta actually like take this seriously. So I feel like I've practiced a lot harder in Vermont.
And you know, from coming from Michigan to here, so Michigan's a lot different than Vermont. So let me hear, what have been some things that you've noticed that you really enjoy about Vermont and playing here versus playing back in Michigan?
Well, the people are a lot nicer here than they are in Ohio. So
That's a good thing. Vermonters are known to be very
yeah, they're like
kind, I hope.
yeah, they're like super nice.
So before we had this wonderful segment here, you were playing with our Up Next band. Quick plug to the next segment, and you sounded lovely. So what is it like for you playing with adults? I mean, you're surrounded. You play with your mother. You play, I'm guessing, a lot with your father. So, like, what is it like for you to be 12 and looking at all these adults and being equally talented and ready to challenge?
Yay!
Yay! That's a good answer. Do you feel that it's different being a kid at this level of mandolining?
It's very, very different because I know that sometimes because of my size, my shortness of stature, people sometimes don't really take me seriously. And I feel like I can be taken seriously.
No, you can. You just use stature.
Deserving,
I'll tell you, when I was 12, I was using bubble gum in a sentence, and I thought that was a big deal. So we would love it if you would play us another song.
Okay. Sitting alone in the moonlight, thinking of the days gone by, and wondering about my darling. I can still hear her saying goodbye. Now the moon grows pale as I sit here. Each little star seems to whisper and sing. Your sweetheart has found another, and now she's far away. Thinking of the days gone by, wondering about my darling. I can still hear her saying goodbye. Now the moon grows faint as I sleep. Each little star seems to whisper and say, your sweetheart has found another, and now she's far away.
Sweet. And the title of that one was
Sitting alone in the moonlight.
Classic. Seems fair.
Yes.
So, you know, you're playing some of these songs, you're enjoying life. Have you ever sat down and, you know, written a song, like wrote a song? And what is that idea? Is that something you're interested in? Is that something you want to do?
I have sometimes, but I honestly think that I should leave all the songwriting to my mom.
Well, he has written some classic literature, which he shared earlier, sometimes inspired by real life events.
But yeah, there is this one that I feel like is the only performance-worthy one.
I doubt that's true. I bet you have a bunch and you're quite talented. But between, you know, writing, have you ever recorded anything? Is that something you are interested in doing? Is this an album kind of style? Or is this I want to play for people?
Everything.
Everything. Good, everything. That's what we like to hear. It's so enjoyable, so everything is a great answer. So you're 12. Does that mean you are in the 6th grade? Okay, so you're just in middle school. You know, what are you thinking you want to do before, you know, you go to high school, before college? Like what is something that you see coming out of this as like your life and how you want to use it?
I just want to practice and get better. And I feel like if you practice, you get better. And if you get better, you have more fun. And if you have more fun, you want to practice more. And so it's like a cycle. So like practice, get better, have fun, practice, get better, have fun, practice, get better, have fun, and so on. So I want to try my best to do that.
That's awesome. That's a really great cycle to have. I hope you can continue that for a really long time because you're really awesome at it. But so for you, I know that the genre of music you're playing is probably a little above your own kind of life experiences. Have you ever thought about kind of going off a little bit, doing some different types of music, or are you content with your sitting alone in the moonlight?
Well, I play really a whole lot of genres, like 60s stuff, so like Brown Eyed Girl, Me on Me. I haven't mastered the Beatles stuff. It's like so hard, but you just can't do it. And 50s stuff, so like Richie Valens, Presley, and jazz stuff, so that's like 40s, 30s, and then of course bluegrass.
That's awesome.
No time.
So when you said you listen to all types of music, and obviously you can play all types of music. Have you ever thought about kind of doing more, like the mandolin has kind of a limited range almost, I'd say. You can play a lot of different types with it, but have you thought about kind of revolutionizing the mandolin and playing different types of music like that? Or do you like playing stuff people have already written?
I think you can't really revolutionize any more than Chris Thiele. He plays classical music, like some classical music that's like meant for the violin, and he put it into a mandolin. So there's this really famous classical music, and I don't remember what it's called, don't remember who wrote it, but it goes like, on the violin's really cool, and then on the mandolin it's like, so like a whole chord, and then on the violin it's just, and it's a little harder to make it sound super dramatic on the violin.
So you're playing the mandolin with us tonight. Do you like to play the violin as well? I know you can play it. Do you like to play that more or less, or equally?
I think I enjoy mandolin more just because I can sing with it, and I've had more experience playing it.
And do you like singing? Do you have like a vocal coach or anything, or do you just like this is all natural? You're really great. You have great voice.
Well, I think you know my vocal coach.
Really?
She's standing right to the right of me.
Nothing official though.
No.
Not official, but like I hear her doing like strawberry wine, and I'm like, whoa, cool. She used that, huh? Maybe I could do that too.
So this is a question for your vocal coach. So you're watching your son. What is one of your favorite things about working with him? And something you look to as equal or you really enjoy about him.
He is so. This is both a blessing and a curse for his limited musician accompanist. Is that he'll just do anything. He is unafraid. There is no fear. He'll try anything. Play songs we've never played before in a performance, and that's what makes some of his cutting edge feeling to what he does, like just on that razor's edge of this could fall apart or this could be stunningly beautiful. It's just like he has no fear, and that goes both ways for me because I don't necessarily have all the skills to like follow him where he leads, but I sure do try.
And so I'm going to ask the same question for you. What's your favorite part about playing with your mother?
It's fun. I guess really that she is willing to go wherever I want to go, wherever the music takes me. And I feel like because she's listening super, super well, she has an amazing ear. Because she's listening to what I'm doing, and she's been playing music for so long that she is able to think, wait a minute, he's going there, and so he's probably going to do this next. So I feel like because she can follow me wherever I decide to go, that's what makes it so awesome to play with her.
So, you're playing together his whole life because, you're the mom. So, what has been your favorite memory of this? What's like one of the top 10 moments of Sam?
I love hearing him play and sing as with our whole family, including his older brother, who also is a great musician in his own right. And I think probably the tear-jerking moment for me has been when he learned to play the songs that I wrote for him. Like I wrote him a song when he was in my belly, and he learned to play it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I never thought my kid would play the song I wrote for him. Like I just wasn't thinking that way.
That's so sweet.
So you guys kind of have like a really awesome family band. Do you play with other bands as well?
Well, yes.
Yes.
I helped to form a band that that we call Mad River Byway. We're a group of 3 young musicians who all play the same type of music. So we're kind of old time. And so you can see us on my YouTube channel or on my website. So samacus.com.
Awesome. So
And
how old are you guys? Around the same age?
We're around the same age. Me and a violin/banjo player, I think we're both 12. And then Hadley, who is an amazing fiddle player. She's 14, 15, not sure.
So some young people, that's really awesome. That's very refreshing. A lot of kids are like playing video games. Like I know that's what my little brother is doing. So do you find like a lot of friends through this, or is it like you kind of have to seek out friends your age who are doing this kind of stuff?
I basically just a little bit of both, really.
So I have a question for you. What is one of your favorite places to play? Like a venue, a spot, anywhere you travel?
Well, I really enjoyed playing at Sweet Melissa's in Montpelier. Mainly because I'm really used to the stage and the people, and it's an amazing atmosphere. But I also really enjoyed Man About a Horse, which is a bluegrass band. Heard me playing La Bamba, and they were like, huh. And so then they asked me upstage, and so this was at Gray Fox Bluegrass Festival, and so I played La Bamba with them on the Gray Fox main stage, which was super exciting.
On his 12th birthday.
On my 12th birthday.
Wow,
Amazing.
that is
So that
extra
made it even better.
that's a double whammy right there. So I guess I forgot to ask you the question I asked your mother about your favorite memory. That seemed like a pretty high one. Is there anything that can beat that?
Let's see. Favorite memory. Let's see. I don't know. It's just really hard because there's so many amazing memories. I mean, this one is definitely a really good one. Let's see. Radio Beat was fun. That was a great memory. Really, every single one of the performances we've done together have been really fun to play.
I love that your theory on why you play is to make yourself and people happy. That is just such a genuine answer, and you're doing it. You really got something there. So before we send you off, we would like you to plug anything that you have coming up, any shows, anything like that, or where our listeners can come find you and online, any platforms.
So, as I think I mentioned before, I have a website which is super, 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 super fun to manage and be on. It's called samacus.com. So SAMACUS.com.
Good, thank you for spelling it out.
Yeah, I know.
Acus.
Acus can be super difficult to spell. AKISS.
You were having this conversation earlier.
And then I also have a YouTube channel. That's Samuel Acus, ACUS. And let's see.
Tradition.
Yeah. And then I forgot to mention when we were talking about bands, I'm in the Young Traditions Vermont touring group, which is really super exciting and fun. I know that's like my favorite word tonight. Fun. I mean, saying the word fun is fun. Well, did it again. So yeah, I'm in the Young Traditions Vermont touring group, and we are going to Japan.
Wow, that is quite the travel. That is not even cross country. That's global. You're going global, kid.
I know,
Big deal.
But yeah, and then I have another Sweet Melissa's gig, which we have not quite decided the date of.
TBD.
TBD.
Will this be on your website?
It will be on my website. I'm
Okay.
gonna, as soon as possible, put everything that I'm mentioning tonight on my website.
So listeners, check the website. Check the website.
samacus.com.
So why won't you play us out?
Okay. It's been 10 long years since I left my
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on tonight. We had a blast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And quick ad before we get to our next person. I think you might be our youngest person ever on
Wow.
Rocket Shop. So you are a
history.
Rocket Shop title holder now. So when we get back, we will have O. Hanley, and this is Rocket Shop on 105.9 FM, The Radiator, WOMMLP Burlington. Stay tuned. Thank you. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
I tell people this is amazing. I get a free house concert every week.
Oh, you want us to try?
It's great to see you again, Sam.
Make sure you guys playing.
Yes.
That was fun. That was awesome.
So, and we're back on Rocket Shop. Here with
No, we're not yet.
No, I'm telling you
You're
what she's gonna
practicing.
say.
Okay. Wait.
Here with O. Hanley.
Don't accuse me
And
here.
his more live. You got it.
Oh, the
I just had to go.
chicken. So go on YouTube and look for Rubber Chicken Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh my God, seriously?
Just do it.
Things you can't unsee, right?
Rubber
You
chicken.
don't need to unsee this. It's amazing.
Rubber chicken Bohemian Rhapsody.
All right. I have a feeling I know what our going home music is. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sam, thanks for coming in. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, thanks for having us.
What are we doing?
Thanks a lot.
Okay. So you arranged this all here.
You know, we play 80 some odd games a year.
And you
it's
just switch
like,
up
so
every
it doesn't
time?
matter.
So pick something.
Yes, and we're not switching it.
The shortest thing.
So we're not gonna do 4 vocal mics. We don't have that kind of setup. So we're gonna use mainly these, which are the room mics. Which, since you're playing acoustic, I'll pick you up if you need or want a particular song. I don't know if you do really.
Yeah, when she sings Bridget, she should be up on the mic.
Actually, that's that. We're only gonna do one.
And so then we're doing Clean the Pool.
Yeah, we shall.
Is that what we're doing?
Oh,
So we're opening with Come to the Fair, right?
Yeah, okay.
Clean the Pool and then close with Bridget. Is that what we're doing? Yes.
I think yes, that's what we're doing.
This is the yes.
All right, we've decided.
Can't pick the water right here.
See some fruits, chili.
Sounds so amazing.
It'd be very interesting to see what he's singing and how his voice changes in 5 years. Because of that,
I was gonna say it's interesting to see how it's
teenage
changes.
voice is breaking. Now what do I do? But you were back to You're gonna step up at one point. That's cool. It just took me a second. Wow. I was thinking,
Yeah,
they're
because we were
large
doing
guitars.
acoustics, a big pop.
That's cool. We had 2 weeks ago. We had something down in Florida. It was a lot of fun.
Next up is the stand-up bass.
It's a lot. So you were 2 singing also at times.
Yes, I'll be doing the first one.
He's doing the first one.
I just do it. And the setting just.
Yeah. Belt it out now. Belt it out.
Let her rip.
That's so easy.
I didn't know it. Yeah. I have more if you need some. We have a water thing back there if you want some. I didn't know it didn't have a top on.
I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
glad that it was you that did that. Well, that's so that I can grab it for a sip.
Do you want more?
No, it's
Is that enough?
just there. That patch of your rug is now clean.
Shrug. Oh. We'll give you a sip.
And then Bridges? In order? Finn and Bridges? Or are we doing Laddie? Oh, we're doing Laddie. Are we doing Laddie? We're doing Laddie. I feel like we
Instead
should.
of what?
So should we open with Laddie?
It's open.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good opening. We're opening with Laddie.
Oh, she's getting out there.
And then we'll close. We'll close with Come to the Fair.
All right.
Which is our opening song.
Are you singing on the first one?
Yes.
First one.
Yes. Or sort of, like we all sing.
Yeah. But I mean, when you're gonna step up.
Which
Then
am
we
I
should-
stepping up to?
If they're gonna come to the fair anyway, we should open it.
Can we decide?
We should just open it from the fair.
Okay.
It's a good warm up song. Laddie's.
Can I have you just talk into that middle mic for me for just a second? I just want to make sure. Yeah, that one.
Yes, that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, okay.
So you're talking first here. You're the talking bit.
Oh no, you're the talker.
I can hear all of you fine, so you can all talk.
No, that's not the issue. It's the hearing. It's not.
It's
not
what
just
we.
hearing us. It's what we're saying. That's the problem.
It is not a problem at all. You want to just do a quick sound check so I can just.
Oh,
Yeah, just play in the middle. Song in the hills, tales and feet, lark in the morn, sweet melody. Come hither, coming on, rise with the sun. Come from the field, the fair has begun. And come to the fair. Sing and dance, enjoy the air. Come to the fair. Your things and ladies are all welcome here. This is the Lord, let's do unbelieve. And from the field without holy trees, flowers of yellow and violet and red, be decked away as their fragrance we dead. And come to the fair, sing and dance, enjoy the air. Come to the fair, your maidens and ladies are all welcome here. Weavers and artisans, men from the guild, pipers and harpers and luters so skilled. Can't be they weave and they ply their trade, so come to your wicker with the treasures they made. The dashing young archer, his arrow flies true, the artist gets pigments of more pleasant hue. Smithy at the forge, he's the master of all. Over with stays and work in his fall. And come to the fair. Sing and dance, enjoy the air. Come to the fair. Young maidens and ladies are all welcome here. Peasants.
So when you step up, I had to put this here. You were not coming through at all.
Okay.
But this is what I want. So when you step up, are you still gonna be playing this?
No.
Okay. So you can just push this a little bit to the side and then bring it back.
Make sure you sing up and get that tenement appointed right towards that mic too. I think counts to me along the line.
A little bit, yeah. A little back in. Yeah. That'll help a little bit. Yep. I think we're pretty good. You ready? Molly, yeah.
Jim, I will send you the other MP3 file. I don't know where he went.
Brian, right here. We're almost ready.
Okay, I'll send it to you after.
You're all set? Oh, Hanley, Molly. Okay, give me 5 seconds.
Hello, and we're back on Rocket Shop with O'Hanley. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
thanks for having us. So, can you start by telling us a little bit about each of yourselves and introduce your music? And first off, could you pronounce your band title?
If you just say O'Hanley, it's close enough.
Okay.
It's Irish.
So, what would it be if I was trying to do it in Irish?
It's more of a ha.
O'Hanley.
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 Well, I'll stick with O'Hanley then.
Yeah, that's good.
So, just introduce yourselves and give us a little spiel about what you think your music is.
We play Irish folk music, a lot of original music. We write our own stuff about the Irish American experience, about legends in Ireland and things like that. A lot of fun stuff. We've been playing as a band since 2002, and it started as kind of a lark with my daughter and I. Just got up and did a few songs at the St. Patrick's Day thing once, and it took off from there. And then Cindy joined us, and that was a lot of fun. She's been with us since 2003. And we were rolling down the highway one day, and we saw this guy hitchhiking, and it was Matty, and he had instruments and stuff with him. So I asked him if he knew how to play this stuff, and it turns out he plays this stuff really, really well. And so Matty joined us, and about a year ago. So it's been fun having Matty aboard with us.
My bad for a guy under a bridge. On the highway.
He always wants to jump out of the car when we pass under an underpass. Though. I don't.
Well, great. Why don't you start us off with the tune? Sure.
We're going to start a song that we had written a few years ago to play at Renaissance fairs. Song in the hills, hails unto ye, lark in the morn, a sweet melody. Come hither, come yon, rise with the sun. Come from the fields, the fair has begun. And come to the fair. Sing and dance, there's joy in the air. Come to the fair. Young maidens and ladies are all welcome here. The mist in the moorlands dew on the leaves, and from the hills we found golden trees. Flowers of yellow and violet and red, they deck their way as their fragrance is shed. And come to the fair. Sing and dance, is joy in the air. Come to the fair. Young maidens and ladies are all welcome here. There's weavers, there's artisans, and men from the guild, pipers and harpers and luthiers so skilled. Gently they weave as they ply their trade. So come to your winners with the treasures they've made. Now the dashing young archer, his arrow flies true. The artist gives pigments a warm, pleasant hue. The smithy at the forge leaves the master of all. The cooper with staves and the work in his stall. And come to the fair. Sing and dance, there's joy in the air. Come to the fair. Young maidens and the ladies are all welcome here. Come peasants and tradesmen, merchants and kings, come taste the fruits of nature's wellspring. And when at the close has twilight shone, farewell with
races for the long journey home. And come to the fair, sing and dance, enjoy in the air. Come to the fair, you maiden ladies are all welcome here. And come to the fair, sing and dance, enjoy in the air. Come to the fair, you maiden ladies are all welcome here. Yes, you maiden ladies are all welcome here.
That was Come to the Fair by O'Henley. So you guys have been playing together since 2002, 2003.
Since before Sam Acus was born.
I was Sam's age when you started playing. And I'm not Sam's age anymore.
I'm gonna tell you this. You guys have been playing since before I was born, so this is some. You guys have got it going. So, you know how you've been together for 16, 17 years. How has your band evolved? You know how I know you have a member as of the Bridge, and you know, like how has your music changed from these years?
Tom has gotten a lot older, we've noticed. That's one big change. He's not duck walking on the stage quite as much anymore.
No, those are my old rock and roll days. Ducking across the stage and doing acrobatics. I don't do those anymore, but the music has become somewhat more sophisticated in one way and fun in another way. We write much of our own music, and as we go along, we wrote many of our own songs. Recorded 4 CDs now, 5 CDs. We played all over the place, and we try to hit a nerve among Irish Americans, really anybody. Some of the music is just about life. Doesn't matter where you're from. But generally, that's how it goes, and it's got a little more complicated than it used to be. We all play different instruments, so on stage, we could be playing anything. Maddie even plays, God help us, the banjo. But you know, we just bring a real variety to our shows.
And you know, how is your music writing process been? I mean, you haven't been together since 2002, 2003.
Well.
How do you guys write these songs?
So, well, Tom writes some songs, and when Tom writes songs, he does it in a very organized and methodical fashion. And I write probably, I don't know, at least 50 or 60% of the lyrics and originally start the songs. And normally what happens is in my work, I'm taking long road trips across Vermont. And, you know, it's beautiful driving across Vermont, and the mind just starts writing songs. And what I do is pick up my cell phone, call Tom's cell phone and say, don't pick up. I'm going to sing this song into your answering machine. And so I leave him little like 30-second snippets of the song and say, here, put chords to this. And then he takes it from there.
And my first reaction is, you've got to be kidding me. Will you make a song out of this? And then we sit down and we hash it out a little bit. And sometimes our hashing gets a little more intense than other times. And we argue a lot and we bicker a lot, but usually a nice little song comes out of it. And then sometimes I'll bring a song in and we'll play it, and it just kind of, the song evolves as we play it. I use the artistry of the different members of the band to put their own inflection on the song, and it usually comes out pretty good that way.
So you said you've written 4 or 5 CDs, albums, and, you know, saying you wrote one a very long time ago versus one that came out recently in September and 2 that came out in July. You guys have been manufacturing these just out. So how have your albums changed through time? Because, you know, 5 albums, that's quite the load.
The last 3 are more thematic. They were put together for certain things. One was for more of the steampunk stuff that we do. And it's got a lot of old-time music in it, old-time Irish American music from the 1880s, 1890s. And in addition to stuff that we wrote that fits into that kind of theme. One of them is more inclined for Renaissance Fair type shows and type
Yeah, the
music.
Come to the Fair CD is almost all original music, and it was more aimed towards both the Renaissance fairs that we play, and then also just any of the summer fairs and farmers markets, that kind of upbeat.
Yeah, and I bring in some of the songs on our CDs are based on my family experience and our own immigration thing. So we include some of those on there too. So the rest of the band has to put up with that. family history stuff.
And then the fifth CD is actually an EP called Fairy Tales.
Right.
And it has 2 new original songs on it. The iconographic Mouse in a Boat and the other iconographic Bean song. And then the other songs that we put on it, we pulled off of our other albums, and they're Myths and Legends songs. And that album was donated to the Vermont Fairy Tale Festival, which is a program of the Vermont State Libraries. We were had so much fun playing there last year and had donated the album to them and as helping them with their fundraising. It was a lot of fun.
So you guys, there's 4 of you up here, and there's some age differences. I may speculate. How does kind of the band dynamic go along that? Like, do you have a lot of different interests that you're pulling together? Do you all kind of have the same kind of musical intentions?
Well, for me, they just had me sit in the corner and shut up, and then they do the rest of the stuff. But I think, I came from folk music background anyway, and doing rock stuff. I was a bass player in a rock band back in the 70s and 80s, and just kind of ended up with this, just doing cultural stuff. And Becca's my daughter, so she's stuck with whatever I do. And Maddie's been, he's with Young Tradition, as Sam was doing. And he came back with a traditional Irish music background and tune background. And Cindy's got classical stuff and all kinds of junk in the bag.
Yeah, so I grew up in a school district with a very intensive classical music program, was in band and orchestra and chorus, but then also really like classic rock and some early John Lepani, electric violin stuff, some jazz violin stuff. So I think we try to keep up with these young people and their musical talents.
Very well.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is we have no idea why any of this works.
Well, it works. We love it.
So, like, shoot, I lost my train of thought. With you guys, like, what brought each of you to playing music? Like, what was like your calling to come to this?
My mother had a beautiful singing voice, and she was singing all the time when we grew up. And she sang to us about these old Irish songs all the time, as was my father. My father actually sang in a band back in the late 40s. My mother was also an accomplished piano player, so I grew up in this house with constant music all the time. And that's how it worked for me. It's just family background in music. And my goofy father when I was 5 years old, used to make me step dance on the fireplace mantel when he'd have company over and he'd sing these songs, and it was horrible. It's an awful experience, but I got over it. And Becca, of course, growing up, she had to listen to me singing songs all the time, so she sings a lot too. So.
Yeah, I was basically singing before I could talk, and I remember him teaching me harmonies, listening to the Statler Brothers when I was like 4 or 5, not really knowing what harmony meant. But
Now, Becca, you're attached to this Irish situation now. So, how did you ever Irish step dance? Did you ever do it? He was talking about stepping on the fire mantle, the fireplace. So,
no, my older sisters were step dancers, but I went to school in Ireland as a teenager, and I lived with my cousins who are still over there. So it's been a huge influence on my life since I was really young.
And what brought each of you to coming to play Irish music? I know you have your Irish background and you live there, but for you two, I'm intrigued.
I guess when I first started playing, I wasn't really doing the whole Irish thing. I was doing the French Canadian music, and then I saw that there was an Irish session at what was the Lincoln Inn, and I started playing there. And then it kind of led me on this whole run of traditional bands. I was in Trinity. I was in Montford Row for a long period. Then I ended up going into Celtic punk rock for a little bit with a band called the Cop Outs, and then I've known these guys for years. But then luckily enough, they were looking for an extra, and I was like, hey, I'm free. I'm available. Let's do this.
Like you're blowing our pick you up under the bridge still.
It was going to happen sooner or later.
And I started with music when I was 4. I started playing piano when I was 4. I for a while wanted to be a concert pianist. As I said, I played in school in jazz band and chorus and orchestra. Started with the violin when I was about 10, I guess. And then with the violin, just got really into fiddle. Liked to play old time music and bluegrass. And then in college, I had some friends, a friend from Northern Ireland, and some of my other college classmates that had an Irish band called Radiator, and I used to, sit in with them or at parties and we would play, and I got very interested in it. I also was very involved in Irish Northern Aid and some of the Northern Ireland political situations. Actually, my friend from college that was in this Irish band, his family was caught up in some of the Northern Ireland troubles. And so I was involved in some of the other cultural issues starting in college that were going on, and that brought me into the Irish music. And then it just so happened that when I moved to Vermont, then Tom and I both had some connections with working in our town and in Middlebury, and met that way. And they were playing music, and I just sat in with them, and here we are. Never left.
You all
Got
seem to
stuck.
have a great connection to the Irish scene, which is really, it comes through in your music. You guys play it with such passion, and like you have a story behind it. And for you, I think it's more of a connection to it. I think you guys have like a little family here. It's quite cute.
Have you guys ever been to Ireland as a band? I know you guys were in UK at some point. I was looking at your Facebook performing. Did you perform as a band in Ireland at all?
No, we didn't. I've just done kitchen stuff in Ireland. Just in the kitchen with Owens and things.
I did a solo thing in Ireland. Which is kind of cool.
So we
Yes.
haven't toured in Ireland yet, but yeah, we did just do a tour in the English Midlands. That was
It's fun.
just a heck of a lot of fun. Yeah.
When she was in Ireland, she was only 16, and I called up, as the father does, checking on his daughter, and I talked to my cousin Paul. I said, Paul, is Becca there? And he said, well, no, where's she? She's at the pub with Mari. Oh, she's at the pub.
They had a great Irish session that had nothing to do with me being one that's drink Guinness.
Right. So we would love it if you guys would play us another song.
It's the Bridget's.
So we're actually we're this Saturday, February 1st is St. Bridget's Day, or Imbolc, and we're actually doing an Imbolc concert down in Sharon at the Seven Stars. But this is a song on one of our albums that we wrote from about St. Bridget, who was a real saint in Ireland in the 5th century, and this is actually a translation of a prayer that she wrote. So it's actually the earliest extant piece of writing by a female author in Western culture. And then we wrote the music, translated the poem, wrote a chorus and a jig to go with it, and here it is. I wish I had a lake of beauty, outside my window right now for all eternity. I wish I had a lake of beauty, I'm my God, for the picture of all eternity. I just hear voices pleading for me to lose belief in humanity. I just went to make your dreams, I just do this and it means to pass around us, living in charity, God's in the truth, forever running. I just went to make your dreams, I just do this and it means living Christ makes me live with you, makes me see the glory of blessed is the Lord. Living Christ makes me live with you, makes me see the glory of blessed is the Lord. I wish I had a lake of beer and the King of Kings of Heaven were here, drinking outside my window right now through all eternity. I wish I had a lake of beer and the King of Kings of Heaven were here, out in my garden full of great cheer through all eternity. I want Jesus to be there alone, and to be there to praise Him now. I should like all the people of heaven dance to each other. And the Father magnetic with me, sing on the street every day. Even time to time, just when we will have to give Christ, makes me live with you. Takes to see all over me.
And that was Bridget.
That was the Feast of St. Bridget of Kildare, yes.
So that was a lot different of a vibe than your first piece. So between each of your songs, how do you come up with how you want the song to come out? What is, I know you have your voice, your call up and with the lyrics. So how do you go about turning this into a full piece?
Well, when Cindy writes the lyrics down, she already has a concept of how the song will go. So it's a matter of just getting the count right, getting the signature right down on the song, and then coming up with the music. And we just come up with all kinds of wacky stuff. I don't know, we're schizophrenic.
Yeah, so when I write the song, I have, and then these guys start playing it, and then my concept gets totally blown up.
And Cindy and I argue a lot and bicker, and then we finally come out with a song. But all our songs sound different. There isn't two songs in a row that sound like, you know, if you listen to one of these 70 rock bands, you can't tell the first song on the album from the last because they the same singer, the same patterns, everything is the same. We don't do that. Everything is different. Maddie sings, Becca sings solo, Cindy sings solo. They mix their voices. Maddie and I mix voices. So we try to make it so they're interesting. So you can listen to a whole album of songs and it's like having different bands on it. Different instruments, different mixes of instruments.
You guys really blend your voices really well together, and I'm guessing that comes with a lot of practice. So how often do you guys practice? How often do you see each other?
As much as we never.
Years ago, especially Cindy and I used to practice several days a week. We would really drill down when we would first start and really get our act together. And then Becca went off to college, and so we didn't have her around for a while. So she didn't practice that much, but we used to practice really a lot. That's made it easier later on because we all know how our voices are going to blend. We know how the harmonies are going to go. We know how we can mix. So it's really, we do a lot of self-practice. Or Cindy and I, we live next door to each other, so we'll get together at lunchtime or whatever and work on stuff. But having a whole band practice sometimes is a little dicey.
Yeah, we all have day jobs, but we also are playing 60, 70, 80 gigs a year. So when you've got a couple of gigs, it's really, the practice is just really developing the new music. And we wind up sort of practicing in teams, like, Tom and Matt will get together, me and Tom will get together, Becca and Tom will get together, me and Matt.
Technology has really helped us out because we can, like, Maddie will email us a song that he's been working on, and he'll be like, all right, we're going to work on this next practice. So we can all work on it individually, and then we get to practice, and we can get mad at each other.
So what?
Generally, Cindy and I will do the foundation for the music, and then we bring it back to everybody else to turn it around and add things to it.
So far, anyway, we're waiting. These guys are going to pop a bunch of songs on us soon.
Yeah. So if you're doing 70, 80 gigs a year, you must have a few that pop out to you. What has been, like, in the last year, seeing as you're doing a lot of gigs, I won't make you do it. What has been one of the top gigs for you? A favorite play experience?
Well, the ones in the UK were just absolutely phenomenal. We had big crowds everywhere we went. It was great.
And
Went
the
on
music scene
stages.
in general was amazing.
Very accepting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what was how did that work for you guys? Was it a lot of pubs? Was it a lot of, like, how do you guys?
Some
feel about
some stage performances,
that? Mhm.
some kind of garden type performances, pub performances. It's really a mixture of different things, but it was kind of neat. Their music scene there is much different than it is here. Maybe because it's a more urban area, I don't know, but it's quite a bit different. And people really get into the music, and when they're playing, they just show up in droves.
The folk music scene there now is much more like it was here in the late 60s, early 70s, where the folk music scene is clubs and bars and festivals, but it's people of all ages. So here, when we're playing out at a late night venue, it's mostly like college age students, and there it's everyone, and it's mostly more people our age that are just absolutely packed in these places to see folk bands. And the folk genre, much like folk here in the 60s and 70s, runs the gamut to stuff that's much more indie rock and really wide diversity of styles. A lot of it's really theatrical, much more like the steampunk type stuff, and so it's really vibrant. It was very exciting.
Our audience, when we were in England, especially at the festival that we played at, they were all like old school punk rockers, which was awesome. Like,
Wow.
people in cut off
Yeah.
denim vests
Right.
and tattoos all over. It was pretty cool.
Like, how have you guys like? How did you like meet and say, this is us. Like, this is what I want us to be. Like, I know the daughter, son, and the neighbor. So, what made you guys say this is going to be a band? This is going to be our group. How did this happen?
We played at theme things at first, and that's how it developed, playing for like St. Patrick's stuff. And the Irish folk at the time, it was kind of an Irish revival with river dance and some of the other things. And so it was pretty popular, so we got to play in all these different places. I think the fun place that we play now is the Salt Hill Pubs in New Hampshire. It's a chain of Irish pubs owned by the same family. And they're usually a gas when we play there. They're just crowded, and it's a lot of fun. People come from all over the place to see us because we've been down there for years. So that's a lot of fun. So we kind of stick with the genre. We venture to the edges sometimes with some of the steampunk stuff and dress up in these wacky costumes and the Renaissance fairs and things like that. So we kind of broaden it out a little bit.
We've also been involved over the years with the Burlington Irish Heritage Festival, which is a week of cultural events happening that leads up to St. Patrick's Day in their big Cali. We hadn't performed for them for a while, and this year it's their what anniversary? Anyway, it's a big anniversary for the Burlington Irish Heritage Festival, and we're giving a concert at Flynn's Space as part of that festival on March 7th. So we're very excited about that. We were part of a show with a number of bands for the Burlington Irish Heritage Festival at Flynn's Space some years ago, and that was really nice. It's a great venue.
So for like Irish culture in Vermont, have you guys had a lot of like different spaces? I don't really know much. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not Irish, so I don't know what kind of cultural stuff they have. But are there like a lot of like Irish clubs that you guys can go to and like a lot of people show up, or is it more like you're going to bars like it's like rerun and stuff like that? And like,
Yeah, what's your scene here in VT?
Vermont actually has a pretty big Irish community. I don't know if you wrote a song about it or whose song, but we like dating back to the Civil War. There's been a huge Irish population.
And all the Irish immigrants that came in through Grossio from the north. So there's a pretty big Irish community. So yeah, there's not a lot anymore of like the huge Irish bars. Obviously, you don't play it like Riras, and there's not so much the Irish cultural clubs anymore. But we then also often play at either like weddings or retirement parties where the family wants those old Irish songs that grandma likes.
And so, like what has been in each of your perspective, what has been, your top moment for Vermont's Irish scene?
What would be the top moment?
Or tops, don't
It was fun playing. Again, the Burlington Irish Heritage Festival gave a little mini Cali reception for the Irish ambassador last year in the Fletcher Library, and a number of people. We played a couple of songs, and some other traditional musicians played, and there were some dancers, and that was just nice to be a part of that community.
There's an Irish music series that we play at. That's always really fun. It's at that church is it Westford?
Westford.
Yeah.
The Westford White Church Music Series.
Yeah.
Now, there's a bunch of them. There's just been so many. We've been traveling around and playing a lot of these things.
It's hard to remember. And then we play a number of farmers markets. We play quite a number of fairs, like some of the summer county fairs. We just did Lamoille last year, and Chittenden. The Champlain Valley Fair we played the last couple of years. That's fun.
Well, if there are any platforms we can find your music, we'd love to hear those out.
Sure. You can find us. Our website is ohanleigh.com, and I'll spell that too. That's OHANLEIGH. It's ohanleigh.com. And our CDs are also on sale. We have them for sale in hard copy at the Vermont Bookshop in Middlebury, and also on CD Baby online, which is such a wonderful platform for independent musicians. So again, you can look us up at CD Baby. Ohanleigh, OHANLEIGH. But our website also has our schedule and tickets to upcoming concerts and so on the.
And on that plug, do you have any concerts that we could catch you at in the next few weeks or months?
Yeah, again, we're coming up on our busy season. So again, this Saturday, February 1st, is St. Bridget's Day or Imbolc, and we're giving an Imbolc performance at the Seven Stars performance venue in Sharon. And then we will be at Flynn's Face on March 7th.
Fairfax.
February.
February 8th.
Yeah.
Fairfax.
The Fairfax.
Fairfax Library, their Midwinter Concert Series is actually a morning concert, 10 to noon at the Fairfax Library on Saturday morning. So if you don't normally get out to, nighttime bar concerts or have kids or something, that would be a great place to come. And then on March 14th, as we're rolling into our St. Patrick's season, we'll be at Noddy's, which is downstairs from Two Brothers, in the performance space downstairs at Two Brothers in Middlebury.
Well, we would love you to play us out.
All right. This is kind of a cornball song that we wrote. Our legacy is farming and real farmers, and they immigrated here. And anyway, from Addison County, so we do songs about cows and things. Laddie, take the cow down. Laddie, don't delay. Laddie, take the cow down. Forest Market Day. Laddie, don't be late now. Laddie, don't delay. Laddie, take the cow down for to earn your pay. The master sang his song. Laddie, you know wrong today. On your way. Well, Laddie Spider-Maid, still on the way. Laddie Spider-Maid, as she had to say. And his word, Laddie, take the cow down. Sentiment like her daughter. Out come the father, still let's get me. Out come the father, Laddie out with me. This by the Laddie's cow, sad as can be. Marry now me daughter, get that cow to me. The Laddie shook his head, and slipped his brogans on into bed. With no more cow to So listen to your master when he sings a song. Listen to your master and you go on. Listen to your master, you're rolling old monkey. Listen to your master, on your beat. Laddie took a goose down, Laddie boy. Laddie took a goose down on the market day.
Awesome. So that was Laddie's by O'Hanley. Thank you all so much for coming on tonight. We enjoyed it immensely. Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
so much for having us.
Fun. And this has been Rocket Shop on 105.9 FM Radiator, WOMMLP Burlington. We've been your hosts, Molly Allen
And Genevieve Rossi.
Tune in next week to listen in on our guest Samba Tugada and Montana Verde. Samba Tugada and Montana Verde. Good night.
Good.
Yeah. I just got some tight on.
That was so
Oh, thank you so much. That was great.
Thanks.
That was great.
Is it hard to listen when you're trying not to laugh?
No, not
I saw you. You got like a little smirk in there.
Yeah.
I was like, ah.
want to get some things undone. I'll send you the MP3. I thought I sent